Welcome. My name is Claude Sharati. On this edition of Current Affairs, we'll be talking about the abduction of a British Biafran freedom fighter named Nadi Kanu, who apparently has been abducted in Nigeria. I have a guest who's going to be talking with me in relation to this. Uh, but before that, we need to give you a little bit of background about the Biafran um, independence sort of movement in Nigeria and the actual conflict that has been resulting with the Nigerian government for many, many years. Just bear with me and we'll just play a little bit of an introduction and we'll be right back. Yeah. Nigeria is a former British colony and the most populous country of over 210 million people. In 1914, Nigeria came to be when ethnic groups in the country's northern region, dominated by a Muslim
The newly
population,
formed Nigerian Republic was greatly divided as its three largest ethnic groups struggled to live in harmony.
Sorry.
The more obvious distinctions like language.
In 1914, Nigeria came to be when many ethnic groups in the country's northern region, dominated by a Muslim population, was brought together with the southern region that is predominantly Christian. These two groups were forced by the British colonialists to come together without their consent. Since then, the amalgamation of these two very different parts of Nigeria, the north and the south, has caused a lot of issues, given that both sides of the country hold very little in common. Some would say they have nothing in common. Despite its vast natural resources, Nigeria has been grappling with numerous issues since independence, including leadership problems, mismanagement, massive corruption at all government levels, census and election fraud, just to name a few. As a result of the country's development, the country's development has been hindered quite significantly because of these issues that have happened. Furthermore, many human rights activists have often reported gross human rights violation by the Nigerian government, rampant insecurity, kidnapping, and killings of all sorts. The religious divide between the northern and southern parts of Nigeria has also resulted in many Christians, moderate Muslims, and people of other faiths losing their lives violently in the hands of extremist groups. Some analysts have accused the government of Nigeria of protecting some violent groups who are killing innocent Nigerians. Over the years, many human rights organizations have also often denounced several instances of extrajudicial killings in southern Nigeria by government forces. The Christian population in southern Nigeria, as well as many other ethnic groups, have also often complained of being marginalized in favor of only one ethnic group called the Fulanis, who are predominantly Muslim. The Fulani tribe is where the current President General Muhammadu Buhari and most of his cabinet members come from. President Buhari is a former military general who played a key role in the Biafra independence war in the late 60s. His government is accused by many analysts of doing very little to stem the resurgence of violence in the country. They say his administration has failed to take sufficient and appropriate action to stop terrorist groups in Nigeria, such as Boko Haram, ISIS West Africa, as well as other Fulani herdsmen who are terrorizing people and wrecking the country. There have been many reports of various groups believed to be protected by the government going around the country, freely terrorizing and killing citizens while government forces sit and watch. In some areas where the government has acted, many human rights activists have accused the country's military forces of abducting and detaining innocent citizens and clamping down on opposition activists. Ethnic leaders who hold a different view from the government have been labeled as agitators and are being targeted by security forces. Many of them are wanted and no longer feel safe in their own country. There's a widespread sentiment amongst the Igbo nation in Nigeria and some of their neighbors that they are not being treated fairly and equitably by the Nigerian government. One analyst who we consulted say that the Igbos' feeling of being neglected and discriminated against was the same problem that led to Biafra War in 1967. At the time, the Igbos and other ethnic groups in southern Nigeria declared independence of Biafra. The ensuing war led to many Arab nations, along with Britain, Russia, and USA, supporting the Nigerian army to defeat the Biafran combatants who were asking for independence. However, the manner in which the Nigerian army conducted itself during the Biafra War has been criticized by many historians and human rights activists as a genocide against the people of Biafra. Over 2 million Igbo Biafran died during the conflict, many of them succumbing to starvation as a result of the blockade that was deliberately imposed by the Nigerian government as a weapon of war. Human rights advocates say that to this day, Igbo Biafran are still being killed by Nigerian government forces as tension rises in the country, giving rise to the new wave of agitation for a Biafran independent state. The current wave of agitation for Biafra independence is being driven by NNAMDI KANU. However, the government of Nigeria has vowed to take strong action against separatists. General Buhari recently tweeted that he was determined to teach the Igbo Biafran in the language they will understand, meaning that strong military power will be used to quash any voice that goes against the government. As things stand, there is a sense of deja vu and a fear that history might repeat itself in Nigeria, with another Biafra independence movement declaring independence from Nigeria, and obviously that will create an all-out war. Perhaps the United Nations and other civilized countries should pay more attention to what is emerging in Nigeria and take steps to prevent the armed conflict that may result from that. So to discuss this issue with me tonight, I have freedom activist and human rights advocate by the name of Mikar Udorly. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now, obviously, this conflict between the Biafran independence movement and the Nigerian government is, I suppose, an issue that has been ongoing for quite some time. And you've been following this for a number of years, haven't you?
Yes, I do.
And obviously, should we fear that another conflict might arise anytime?
I think you've said it all, and it looks like the world shall in due course witness a Nigeria that got into conflict, about 50-something years ago, if nothing happened. It's and the most difficult part is the level of insecurity. Without missing words, it's like the government is actually protecting terrorists in the country. It's like the government is a terrorist themselves, killing, innocent civilians, even killing Christians, even the military who are Christians are actually being targeted by the terrorists in the government. So
go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Quite difficult situation, to be honest.
A difficult situation indeed. Now, before we go further into this, let's watch this report from DW Africa that actually gives a bit of a summary on what is currently happening, and we'll come back in just a moment.
For years, NNAMDI KANU is the leader of a separatist group calling for an independent state of Biafra. His followers call themselves the indigenous people of Biafra, and they've not given up their dream of their own homeland in the southeast of Nigeria. The region has seen a surge in attacks, with some 130 police officers killed this year alone. In May, Nigeria's security forces launched an operation to quell the violence, which many fear may lead to a new war. But the conflict between Biafran separatists and the Nigerian government is much older than this recent outbreak. Take a look at the story of one of Nigeria's most wanted fugitives and the project that's been on pause for more than half a century.
Heavy security in Abuja for the trial of one of Nigeria's most notorious separatists. Supporters of NNAMDI KANU gathered outside the courthouse in anticipation. There were clashes and arrests. But then, mysteriously, the prosecutor failed to deliver KANU to court.
They said it's a problem of logistics. In simple language, the DSS said they didn't have a vehicle to bring him. As far as I understand the word logistics, and it did not make sense.
KANU is the controversial and charismatic founder of the indigenous people of Biafra. The group wants independence from Nigeria, which it says oppresses the Igbo people. Supporters say he's a saviour.
Our mission is a very simple one: to restore Biafra, or we die restoring Biafra. That is why the zoo must fall.
Zoo is what Kanu calls Nigeria. His critics say he's a dangerous nationalist. In 2017, DW News sat down with him.
Nigeria is not a civilized country. People behave like animals. They're not reasonable enough. They're not disciplined enough. They are not mentally developed enough to run a transparent civil society.
Don't you think you insult a lot of Nigerians with that?
I'm being very kind, to be honest. I could have used far more harsher words to describe them.
The conflict between the government and ethnic groups in southeast Nigeria dates back half a century. More than 2 million people died during a 2-year war which began in 1967. Hundreds of thousands starved to death. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari served as a general back then. In a recent tweet, he threatened to treat the separatists in the language they understand. For Nnamdi Kanu, long a thorn in Buhari's side, that means incarceration without trial, at least for now.
For more on these developments, we've invited Kabir Adamu onto the show. He's a security analyst from Beacon.
Okay. Michael, we just watched that video. I suppose, obviously, there is tension rising in Nigeria, with new agitation for Biafran state being driven by Nnamdi Kanu and other younger generation, and the government determination to, I suppose, teach them in the language they will understand. We can see a history of Nigeria repeating, Biafra war repeating itself, or maybe another Afghanistan case replicating itself in Nigeria, while perhaps the civilized world is still just watching and doing nothing. What is your take on that?
Very interesting. Like I said before, it looks like the world shall in due course witness in Nigeria a repeat of not only what happened in 1967 to 1970, but a repeat of what is currently happening in Afghanistan. For instance, or rather, I would say currently, Boko Haram terrorists and another organization called Mayeti Allah, which is another terrorist organization, have been part of current Nigerian government. You also hear these terrorists brag that they have got United Nations and British government in their pockets. And when some analysts factually say that Nigeria is being Fulanized and Islamized, some of us, by reason of naivety, say it is not possible. Well, you may not hear it that is, that Nigeria is being declared Islamized or Fulanized. We are actually seeing Nigeria being operationalized in that direction. And let me sound a note of warning that it must be resisted. It must be resisted, and it is that is where you will see the repeat of 1967 to 1970 Biafran War repeating itself, and it should and should that continue to be the case, it will continue to be different this time around, because the years 1960s and 1970s are not like the years 2020s. It doesn't matter how many weapons Nigerian government is stocking and acquiring in the pretext that they are fighting Boko Haram terrorists, when Nigerian government is actually the terrorists themselves. And it doesn't matter how much British government is supporting Nigerian terrorist government to wipe out the Christian Biafrans, just like Nigerian terrorist government and British government did in 1967 to 1970. Should Nigerian terrorist government and British government continue to kill Biafran Christians, the response is going to be different. I can assure you, because it is only Biafrans that are being, it's not only Biafran this time that is being subjugated under the unitary Fulani terrorist government of Nigeria, but today everyone is a Biafran in number of respects. And that is why Nnamdi Kanu, Nnamdi Kanu's cause is massively being supported by all and sundry who believe in justice, who believe in equity.
Okay, for those of our viewers who may not necessarily know who Nnamdi Kanu is, can you tell us who this person is and what their relation to Biafran separatist group is?
Okay, I would like to start by saying that Biafrans are not separatist group. Biafrans are indigenous group asking for self-determination. It is not secessionist group either. Rather, Biafrans are indigenous people agitating for a restoration of independent state of Biafra. It is not a secessionist group because Biafra was existing before Nigeria. You cannot secede from what you were never part of in the first place. Nigeria was created in 1914 by a British man called Frederick Lugard. They call him Lord Lugard. I don't know what is Lord about him. It is actually his concubine, his domestic concubine by name Flora Shaw, that coined the name Nigeria. And the word Nigeria is actually means nigger area, which is a slow word. Nigger area, people that are found in, niggers that are found in a particular area. If you call someone today in a Western world, a nigger, you will have your day in a court of law. So Biafra is not secessionist group because people do not secede from that which was never part of them from time immemorial. When Biafrans become a separatist region, again, the world will know, but that's not what we are at the moment. It's not going to be like Biafran genocide of 1967 to 1970, when British government and few other Western powers and supported Nigeria in the criminal genocide of Biafrans, and over 5.5 million people were killed just like that. Until today, neither Nigerian government nor the British government has apologized for this heinous crime against humanity committed against the Igbo Biafrans. Instead, what you hear is under-reportage of the Biafran genocide in the Western war archive. Fortunately, we will be the one to write our history, and we have on record that over 5.5 million Biafrans were massacred. Not 500,000, not 1 million, not 2 million, not 3 million, but over 5.5 million, a number that is close to Jewish Holocaust. To come back to your question, sorry, I digress a bit. Nnamdi Kanu is currently the one strongly advocating for a restoration of independent state of Biafra via referendum. Otherwise, all manners of civil disobedience shall continue. Like a few days ago, there was a sit-at-home order, okay, in the whole of Biafran, land, and it was actually obeyed simply because the current dictator of Nigerian government, after killing the people of Biafra, he said that he's just going there on a walking tour, whatever. So he went there, and then of course nobody welcomed him. Since if we go and demonstrate outside, people get shot dead. So people decided to stay at home, and the whole just almost that part of the country was like a ghost town. So okay. Nnamdi Kanu is currently the one advocating for the restoration of independent state of Biafra, and the Biafra nation are the Igbo people and other tribes, neighboring tribes, the Efik, the Urobo, the Ijo, the Igodomigodo, and other tribes who are living mainly in today's southeast and south part of Nigeria, as they call it. There are also other tribes, but I'm not going to go into that for now. So the population of Biafra is over 75 million. Then IPOB means indigenous people of this nation called Biafra, and Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is the leader.
Okay, now there was a war between Nigeria and the Biafra movement, and 500,000 people were killed. I mean, I report up to maybe 2 million people. Given that Nnamdi Kanu is British citizen, how come he's the leader of Biafra, or is Kanu someone with dual citizenship?
Well,
I suppose.
I want to respond by saying that it is not 500,000 people that were killed in the Biafran genocide, as wrongly reported by a number of Western media. I feel sad when this is deliberately being underreported. The number of people that were killed in the Biafran genocide was over 5.5 million Biafrans, including 1 million children, who were killed during the so-called Nigerian Biafran War between 1967 and 1970. It was same time. I think Nnamdi Kanu was born. So Kanu was never born a Nigerian in the first place, but was born in the independent state of Biafra. Nigeria terrorists, or will I say Nigerian terrorist government, annexed Biafra when British government assisted Nigeria and killed over 5.5 million Biafrans in the worst genocide crime in human history. Kanu acquired his British citizenship after his university education in the United Kingdom. By these circumstances, Kanu has never had a Nigerian citizenship, I would say. Yes, he had a Nigerian passport for the purpose of living for his studies in England. If this amounts to Nigerian citizenship, well, Nnamdi Kanu has long denounced this citizenship for good, and that's been for a long time. And I cannot be officially described as Nigerian because he is not. He's actually a British citizen, and in fact, a Biafran British citizen.
Okay, and given that Kanu is the leader of Biafra, why has he been on the run for years until he was recently arrested?
Well, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has not been on the run. Rather, he was fleeing from being assassinated by Nigeria terrorist government. Someone who has not committed any offense known to law. Someone with no criminal history to his good name. Someone who is not on Interpol wanted list. Someone who moves around freely in other parts of the world. Name it United States, countries in Europe, Japan, Asiatic regions. Such a person cannot be described as being on the run. Running for what? He's not a criminal, for crying out loud, and he's not being looked for by the local or international police. Kanu, for most part of his entire life, has been living in the United Kingdom. He's not been a wanted person in UK or anywhere in the civilized world. So the outlandish claim or question that Kanu has been on the run for years is outrageous. To be honest, it is ludicrous. It is preposterous, if I should use that word.
Well, why then is it that Kanu, I suppose, is now, some say he's the most wanted fugitive and notorious separatist in Nigeria?
Well, again, Kanu has never been in a wanted list by any civilized world where he lives. And we cannot say that someone you cannot say that someone is notorious simply because he was asking for freedom. Why would asking for self-determination make someone notorious? Remember, Nelson Mandela was once called a notorious terrorist. Today, he's being celebrated even posthumously. Someone who is advocating for the freedom of his people cannot be called a notorious fellow by any sound minded or any just system. The only group that wants Nnamdi Kanu dead are those that hate the freedom of Biafra. The only people that wants to kill Nnamdi Kanu is the current Nigerian terrorist government and their enablers and apologists, the British government and those benefiting from current subjugation of Biafra under Unitary One Nigeria. Otherwise, NNAMDI KANU has lots of support within Nigeria, outside Nigeria, not only in Biafra land, but also in Yoruba, in the Middle Belt, and even among the Hausas and other Northerners. Some of them in Nigeria, cannot come out openly to support Biafra openly for fear of being arrested or get killed by current murderous government called Nigerian government. Let me be clear that it is only the ruling caliphate of Nigeria and their apologists that wants to give NNAMDI KANU such a bad name and then hang him. Example, any bad thing that happens in Nigeria today, the Nigerian government will say it is NNAMDI KANU. The criminal conduct of Nigerian police is blamed on NNAMDI KANU, even with no scintilla of evidence. Nigeria secret police called the DSS, Department of State Security, or whatever they call themselves, will go and kill innocent people and blame it on NNAMDI KANU. The so-called DSS will deliberately go and rob a bank for the purpose of trying to implicate KANU and his indigenous people of Biafra. The killing of police and attacking of correctional facilities is falsely blamed on NNAMDI KANU and IPOB. Well, a number of evidence shows that it's actually the government secret police, unpopularly called DSS, that are the one doing those things and accusing wrong people, accusing NNAMDI KANU and indigenous people of Biafra, even with no evidence. Most Nigerian newspapers and media houses, have been compromised to report nonsense without investigation. The Nigerian government, president.
How do you know that? Obviously, some of those things you're saying are pretty serious.
Yes.
Yes. How do you know that?
Okay, I can name them. The current minister of communication, Issa Pantami, is an apologist of Boko Haram. Is an apologist of ISIS. Yeah, the record is there. Everybody has written, but the government refused to remove this man. So okay. The Nigerian current president is actually the patron of Mayeti Allah, which is another terrorist group. It's actually the third most deadly terrorist group in the world, according to the World Terrorist Index. Yet, okay. The British government, because of what they are gaining from Nigeria, continues to romance Nigerian terrorist government. And we have the US government who is naively selling fighter jets to Nigeria to fight terrorists. These military equipments are then transferred to Boko Haram terrorists and other terrorist groups to kill Christians and other faiths in Nigeria. And the Nigerian government keeps inscripting, have you heard that before? Inscripting Boko Haram terrorists into Nigerian army and police, who will in turn kill the Christian and Christian soldiers.
And is that publicly, or you think that's what's happening, even though
no. It's actually, it's really there. The record is out there, and nobody's saying. We saw what happened recently, like I mentioned before, in Nigerian Defense Academy, where military officers who were Christians from Igbo extraction were abducted from inside a fortified military Nigerian Defense Academy and was, gruesomely murdered by terrorists. Well, Nigerian government didn't do anything up to this day. Rather, any person who condemned what happened and criticized Nigerian government is declared wanted. I know they're gonna, look for me, too, because of this interview, but that doesn't matter. I'm not better than those who are actually being detained or killed. If security in place, like in places like Nigerian Defense Academy is compromised, you wonder, which place is safe in Nigeria. That is what
Let me ask you a question.
That's what you get when the Nigerian government is in itself is part of Boko Haram terrorist organization. It becomes a question of a dog chasing its tail, sort of. Sorry.
So you're saying, for example, in Nigeria, the press is not free to speak about this situation,
No,
with regards to some
not
of
at all. There are compromised, journalists. Okay. In fact, a lot of them, if they do that, their license will be seized. Okay. There's actually recently there was I think that was Channel Television who interviewed a former security expert in Nigerian government who actually said some of these things I'm saying here. Okay. The next day, these people, the man was declared wanted. And these journalists were actually cautioned. So, and that's been going on.
And I understand that in the diaspora, there's quite a bit of support for NNAMDI Kanu. But does the Nigerian government, obviously, who doesn't necessarily want to see more support from NNAMDI Kanu expand, does that, do they sort of trying to take action in the diaspora against people who are critical of their actions on the ground or not?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, well, NNAMDI Kanu is apparently quite popular in the diaspora.
Yes.
And in the diaspora, just like you and I are talking now, you're sort of freely expressing your views about what is happening in Nigeria. Do you fear some sort of retribution from the Nigerian government, for example, for voicing these concerns of yours?
Of course. I mean, there are a number of people who cannot actually go home. All right. Yeah, I don't care. I go home whenever I want. But there are people who can't actually go home because when they go home, they get arrested, at the airport for actually speaking up. So that is the problem.
The situation.
Yeah, that people are facing.
There's also ongoing demonstration to leave the Ambazonians in Cameroon. What is the relationship between Biafrans and the Amazonians?
Well, from what I understand, there is this cordial relationship between the Ambazonians and the Biafrans because they are also going through what the Biafrans are going through. So, but I'm not sure of. I heard, the documentary who said that actually manufactured their own weapons for which they used to defend themselves. Even though British government, supplied Nigerians all the weapons they use using Russia and other countries. The pilots, we are all for it, but the Biafrans, the Igbos, actually used what they were able to manufacture to fight their own battle. So that could be the same case now. I do not believe there's any weapon sharing or whatever Nigerian the Biafrans gonna use, they will manufacture in their own homeland. There is no weapon coming from Libya after the fall of Gaddafi, because that is exactly what Buhari has been spreading. Buhari is the president of Nigeria. That's the kind of lies he's spreading, that that weapon from Libya are, coming into Nigeria. To me, that is, utter nonsense. I shouldn't be here.
Now, when you hear NNAMDI Kanu speak, some of his language is very, very strong. He calls Nigeria Zoo. Isn't that insulting?
Well, I'm sorry for those who feel that such a qualifying adjectival noun is insulting. Zoo, as bad as it sounds, is even a better word compared to what's going on in Nigeria. In zoo, animals protect their children. But does Nigerian government protect her citizens? The answer is no. You see extrajudicial killings of Igbo youths every day. In zoo is organized. Animals respect themselves. But in Nigeria, people behave worse than animals. And the president and the government officials lead in corruption. Citizens are kidnapped by Nigerian government in the name of arrest without any charge. If you are a young girl, the police and the army will kidnap you and use you as the police. They use you as a sex slave. They use you as a maid. They use you as a domestic slave. The Boko Haram terrorists are being recruited to serve in the Nigerian army. No difference between the government and the terrorist organization. What kind of country is that? It's in jungle that you see, that kind of thing. Some say that Nigeria is actually a jungle, and we do not disagree with that assertion.
All right, and Nnamdi Kanu calls himself savior. Is he one?
Well, Kanu never asked anybody to call him, savior, and he's not a savior. He never asked anybody to call him a savior. Rather, people chose to call him that he's a savior. People chose to call him that name because he has opened the eyes of so many, people across Nigeria. Today, almost all the ethnic populations are asking to be separated from Nigeria, which was never a country in the first place. But Nigeria is just a business organization created by British government for British government's trading convenience. Kanu's weekly lecture on Radio Biafra has got so many people well informed of who they are. As a Christian, Jesus Christ is the Savior and the way shower, and has asked mankind to do even more than he has done. Well, Nnamdi Kanu is not the Savior. He is another Savior. The Savior, okay, and another Savior are two different things. They are two different people. Even though they may be influenced by common truth under God. That's what I would, the way I look at it.
Okay, and how much support does Kanu have really in the both in the Biafra area, so to speak, or southeastern Nigeria, and more broadly?
Well, Kanu and indigenous people of Biafra have over, Kanu supports over 75 million across the globe, and it actually covers over 120 countries. It's not just a few millions, but over 75 million people, and more people have joined. Since Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya by Kenya and Nigerian government, and I think British government too.
Okay. Well, let's look at how Nnamdi Kanu was rearrested in Kenya, and Kenya government is still sort of saying that they are not part of Kanu's arrest. What have you got to say about this whole that incident?
Well, I just want to stress this, that Nnamdi Kanu was not rearrested. He was not arrested. He was not rearrested, but he was kidnapped. He was abducted. In fact, that is what they call extraordinary rendition. He was kidnapped and renditioned to Nigeria. He was tortured for 8 days in Kenya and smuggled like a goods to Nigeria. Okay, Nigerian terrorist government collaborated with Kenya in this evil act, where the British government sits akimbo, pretending that they do not know what happened or what's going on, where they are the one calling the shot. I think that's how it is.
And how did he get from Kenya to Nigeria? I mean, when he was sort of arrested, or you calling it abduction, did he travel through a commercial flight, or how did he get into Nigeria from that?
Well, I'm not the one that call it abduction. That's what it is. because evidence shows that he was never arrested by the police. He was never arrested by local police nor the Interpol. Okay, it was just kind of, some kind of gangsters that gathered, kidnapped him, all right, and detained him in a private place, private house for 8 days, chained him on the floor for 8 days, beat him mercilessly, inflicted wounds on him. They thought he actually died. So he was just, out of sheer luck that he survived to this day. So, they called Nigerian government, we got a big fish. Call for the cops. So they were surprised that he's still alive. Okay? And he didn't pass through the airport. They drove him from where evidence shows that they drove him from where he was, where they kidnapped him, where they detained him illegally. Okay? Through the tarmac, without passing the checks, through the tarmac, didn't pass through the whole checks at Jomo Kenyatta Airport, put him in a private jet and smuggled him to Nigeria. That is what happened. This is what government is doing.
Okay. And why would you say that the British government knows about the kidnapping of Kanu, who is a British-owned citizen? What has been the reaction from the British government?
Well, I say this because British government has up to now has been dragging her feet to see Kanu in detention or offer consular support or assistance, which Kanu merits as a UK citizen.
British citizen.
Yeah. British government's silence over this abduction of NNAMDI KANU is, making a whole lot of noise. And their body language as a country says it all. British government knows how to say, what is or which country is fantastically corrupt, but does not see how bad its reputation is when it comes to using poor and vulnerable country like Kenya and others to do dirty job for them. You could see the conspiratorial meeting of the trial almost immediately after Kanu's criminal abduction. By the trial, I mean Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, Buhari of Nigeria, and Boris Johnson of Britain. This trial gathered together for the first time in the name of Global Educational Summit, when none of them is an academic. Someone like Buhari, for instance, is not even educated. Buhari has no secondary school certificate. Buhari does not believe in education and pays little or no attention when it comes to education budget or that sector of the economy. Nigerian teachers and university lecturers, were on strike for non-payment of salaries during the time the so-called education summit that Buhari said that he was attending, was going on. I say this because, this is just, dishonesty in HS, if I should say that. I know NNAMDI KANU has called out the corrupt practices of United Kingdom government in Nigeria for some time now. That encourages, those things encourages, British government encourages Biafran subjugation. We all know the big role British government played in 1966, 1967 to 1970 in fighting for Nigeria government to wipe out, Biafra. British government is at it again. They've started again. They never stopped. NNAMDI KANU is a freedom fighter and has not committed any crime known to law. If Kanu is to be a white, British, person, Kanu will not spend a day being detained illegally and being tortured in a foreign country like Nigeria, where he will be harmed. Yet, British government professes human rights every day, rule of law every day, but cannot protect her own citizen just because he's a black man. What a double standard.
So you're saying the British government has never done anything, even in release a press release?
They have not. They have not. Even when the High Commissioner British High Commissioner to Nigeria, she was being interviewed at some point. And when she was asked about, if you see her body language, that one is not even important. Let's talk about something that's important. I was shocked. If you see the way, if NNAMDI Kanu called Nigeria a zoo, sometimes if it was me, I would even use a harsher word. How can a high commissioner, who should actually know her role, I believe she's educated, she went to Nigeria, she doesn't even know her role. She was just gallivanting every part of Nigeria, encouraging Nigerians that Nigeria should remain one. But on the other hand, there is a Brexit? British government, British people left EU, and Scotland had a referendum some time ago and even tried to do more. And this British government ambassador to Nigeria was just behaving as if he's the president of Nigeria. Something that cannot happen there. Cannot happen. You can't see somebody being a diplomat in England and now take over the British government. It doesn't happen. And then, this is just anyway.
All right, as we're approaching the end of the show, I suppose I would like to ask you, what do you think will resolve this situation? What is the way to resolve this? Is there any back channel being used to resolve the crisis, or shall we perhaps expect that things will only get worse?
Well, I don't think there's anything that's going to resolve this matter without having Biafran referendum. And if we have if Biafrans are given the opportunity, it's just a fair request. Let's have a referendum. If we lose, then we remain in Nigeria. But I don't think the way people are fed up with this terrorist government in Nigeria. Look at the killings going on in Nigeria by terrorists, where the government keeps a blind eye, but they are more interested in chasing NNAMDI Kanu and indigenous people of Biafra up and down. Besides, the Fulani-led terrorist government of Nigeria believes in domination. They believe in conquering of other, ethnic tribes. They believe in Islamization of the entire country called Nigeria. NNAMDI Kanu has warned that if Biafra doesn't come, that Nigeria will be worse than Somalia. We are already seeing that happening today. And I add that what is happening in Afghanistan today will soon happen in Nigeria. If the people of Nigeria are not saved by dividing that country called Nigeria, it is hard to be in one country where some people are radically different from one another in terms of religion, in terms of culture, in terms of belief system, casual way of life, value and family system. It's quite hard, quite different. Even dressing and food, common food, we are different, radically different. The solution is Biafra restoration. Self-determination is a right governed under international law and is also domesticated by Nigerian government. NNAMDI Kanu, like I said before, has not committed any offense, any crime known to law. The only crime Kanu has committed is asking for freedom for his people, Biafra. Rather, it is actually whoever that is the president of Nigeria today, in the name of Buhari, that will be put on trial for so many atrocious, acts, including pulling down a democratically elected government of President Shehu Shagari in 1984. By doing this, Buhari has committed treasonable felony against a sitting government, not NNAMDI Kanu.
Okay, maybe one last question before we finish. The division that is obviously prevalent in Nigeria in relation to this issue Is it also the same in the diaspora? Obviously there's a quite large diaspora community, Nigerian diaspora community in many countries, including Australia, where we are. What's your take on the feelings within the broader Nigerian diaspora here in relation to this issue?
Well, I think, like I said before, in one of the, everybody today is is Biafran. Okay, we share some of these sentiments in common. NNAMDI KANU is the one that opened the eyes of everybody. Before, they would say, "Oh, NNAMDI KANU is a miscreant. He doesn't know what he's doing." But those things he was saying, almost everybody, is saying the same thing. Now, it's not only Biafra that is asking for independence from Nigeria. We now see Ududua Republic, which is the Yoruba tribe. They want to, secede from Nigeria as well. They want to break away from Nigeria. You see the Middle Belt, they want to break away from Nigeria. And both the Middle Belt, the Ududua Republic, and Biafra, they are having, this in common. And they are relating very well to ensure disintegration of Nigeria. Because what we have today is it's not a country at all.
Okay. Mikar Udorly, we want to say thank you for coming to African Media Swallow to talk to us about this critical issue in Nigeria. We obviously would hope that we don't get a repeat of the 1967 Biafra War, because obviously a lot of people died during that war, and perhaps that the Nigerian government and Kanu's movement will come to some sort of agreement, and that a war will be avoided. We'll be more than happy to reinvite you again when we need to talk about this issue more, because here at African Media Australia, we want Africans to speak their mind about any type of issues that they have, whether that is here in Africa, here in Australia, as well as in Africa, in the African continent. I know obviously that this is a very controversial issue, but freedom of speech is very important, and people have to speak their mind. So we do appreciate your time to come and enlighten us with your perspective in relation to this issue.
Much appreciated, Clyde. Thanks so much.
All right, for those of you watching, we encourage you to share the video, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on that notification bell so that you get notified automatically when we are live. Also, like our Facebook page, and if you have something that you want to share, or you have some comments on any significant topic that affects the African community in general, or your particular ethnic background or country background, the platform is open for you to share that. Until next time, stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you.
Thank you.